Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back, and as always, huge massive thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. So just coming back with this last little set from the current members free gift over at Hunkydory Crafts, which is called Just For Him. This little set's called Dapper Chap. We've got our sort of whiskey and chess glasses there, and some stationery. We've got your sort of games, your darts, your pool, snooker, cards, and your sort of gambling. We've got our sort of suit, perfume, aftershave I guess, watch, glasses, those sort of things on that one. We've got a happy birthday, we've got a tag with for a Dapper Chap, and then again that sort of suit sort of theme there. We've got an all the best and have a day fit for a king, and then we've got this border down here as well. The foiled cardstock is just gorgeous with those sort of dotted triangle shapes at the top, but we've got our whiskey and games there. The printed one has that sort of dressed up sort of theme, if you like, the suit. For the inserts, we've got the two main themes there, and I am going to bring in a little bit of this foiled cardstock. You may prefer, if you don't want to sort of waste it, because you're not going to see an awful lot of it, you may prefer to use the sort of plain adorable scorable, or maybe something from one of the little books, not little books, the Duo design pads, something like that, just something to lighten up the image anyway. So I'm going to start with an off-center gatefold. So I'm bringing in a 6x12 piece of 300 DSM white cardstock, and I'm going to put a score line in at 4 inches and then 2 inches. So you can basically have this at any sort of gradient you like, really. I mean, this could be 1 and that could be 5. You just have to make sure your inside piece is 6 inches, because the card is actually 6x6. But obviously if you've got 7x7, 8x8, you know, you can just go wherever you like, just making sure you've got that 8-inch space in the middle, or that 7-inch space, depending on what type of card size you've got. What I'm going to do is just turn that around, because I can see that that whiter side was going on the inside, and I want, come here, I want that whiter side on the outside. So that is going to be my card shape. Okay, now we'll have to decorate the inside and the outside. So I'm going to start by bringing in 2 pieces of 6x6 Miri mat, and I'm going to take 2 notches, or 1/8 of an inch, off 2 of those sides, and this one's going to go on the inside. You could even go down to 3/4 of an inch if you wanted to, but I like that a little bit quite close to the edge. And then we've got 2x6 on this side, so if I take 2 notches off the 6, because I know that's going to be the length on all of them, and if I turn that around, do the smallest piece first, 2 notches off that 2 inch, and then the outside piece is 4 inches, so we're doing 2 notches off of that 4, like so. Then if I bring in the cardstock, and I'm going to start by cutting this at 5 3/4. I will be wasting a tiny bit, but it just gives me a more manageable piece to use. I think I have said that a couple of times before in the past. Now I am cutting off that beautiful border, because the length I want is going to be 5 3/4. But please don't throw that away. That would just make a gorgeous little border on something else, maybe using the little pocket pad if you manage to get the deluxe set. Okay, so I'm going to take this to 3 3/4. So we are going to cut into that a little bit, and then this piece here needs to be 1 3/4. Look at those. And then if I just swap to the guillotine for the insert, which is going on the inside, So I do like doing this because it just turns it into a normal card, but it's also quite decorative as well. So let's just cut 5 3/4 squares. So on both sides, I'm just going to double check that's cut nicely. Yeah, just was a tiny bit off, I think. Let's just check against the mirror mat. It looked like it had fluffed a little bit. Let's just neaten that up. Okay, so these pieces I tend to use for notes, but you can use them for if you need an insert on a 5x7 cut-in Z-fold card, for example. That is the perfect size to go on there. So these sort of off-center gatefold cards, I tend to use them a lot for using up this image, especially when there is a good size sentiment topper on the sheet. So it's a good way of using those up. But let me just talk you through the glues, just because I know I do get questions. It's the same ones I always use: the Kalal all-purpose glue, the Kalal tacky glue, and the dotty tape pen from Hunkydory. Probably going to bring in that purple glue stick at some point as well. So because this is paper, I'm not going to use that tacky glue on it. Sometimes I do find it bubbles a little bit, depending on how thick I apply the glue, if I'm honest. But like I have said before, I am a little bit gung-ho with my glues. I am a messy crafter. You can see this card is still annoyingly trying to curl up. But once we get that glue down, it's going to be fine. So we'll pop that into there, and just so that it does glue down straight away rather than use the tacky glue, I'm just going to go for that instant stick with that dotty tape pen. This just means that my card is going to lie flat quicker. The tacky glue will work, just for the video's sake, really. So that's the inside, looking quite stylish. You could come in, you could pop this into your stamp press, stamp, you know, happy birthday, could use your peel-offs, anything like that. But I'm going to leave that as that is. And then I think I'm just going to go back to normal, and hopefully this will settle down quite nicely and quickly. If not, like I say, we can just give it a little clamp with our reverse tweezers. I'm just going to pop that in. Apologies if you do see my very tatty head today. The damp weather does not agree with it at all. Once we get 2 layers of cardstock on, it should be more resistant to staying straight. And you could also, so let's just move a little bit, you could also come in with your embossing adorable scoreboard and put a couple of embossing lines on there for interest if you want to. I'm just going to keep that plain. This smaller piece I will use the dots on. Like I say, it would work with the tacky, but the smaller pieces tend to be a little bit more tend to have a tendency to flick up a little bit more anyway. So let's just pop this on to here. And then again, we'll just, for the quickness sake, I'm hardly putting any dots on at all, just a couple in those corners. We can pop that onto there, pop that down. You can see our image comes back together. Now, just to finish this off, and I'm only using just hardly anything on this sheet at all, just this happy birthday, which is going to come over there, and then we will put some nice shiny gems on. And I think we'll go 2mm, and I think I'm going to put it on this left hand side. So I just want to put foam pads over half of this. You don't want to stick it to both, otherwise the card won't open, which is going to be a bit of a surprise for the person you give it to. Just use some purple glue stick on there. And it is the best thing I've found so far for just adding a little bit of slippability to my foam pad, so I can get that exactly where I want that to be. Just gives me that little bit of wiggle room time. You can see it's holding that together quite nicely. So let's just come in, and I've come in with these super shiny ones this time, just for a little bit of extra bling. And I want 2 on that side. I think that's about the same size. Let's go maybe with you then. Yes, I think that's much better. And then if we go with 1, 2, and these beautiful teeny tiny ones, obviously I'll put them in a straight line. So we've just got our 5. So let's just turn that around. 2 little dabs of glue. And that can go on there. And then this one. We want the 3. This glue does dry clear, so it's perfect for this. Just going to move you over a tad. And that is going to be a super simple first card. Just making the most of that image, which I do very often, is the best, find the best way to use that image is on one of these off-center gatefolds. But that is card number 1, and I'm just going to get set up for card number 2. Okay, so for the second card, I'm doing a 5x7. I've just got, this is actually Ink Me cardstock, Hunkydory's own cardstock, from the A3 pad, just cut and folded into a 5x7. So we're going to make the most of those longer toppers on there. So I'm just going to grab an A4 piece of mirror card, and I'm going to take that to 2 notches under the 5 by 2 notches under the 7. Again, that really narrow gap. You may prefer a slightly bigger one. It's up to you really what it feels comfortable. I just like that fine white border all the way around. So that's that piece. And then I'm coming back in with that beautiful cardstock that I used before. And I'm going to take this to 4 3/4. Again, we might find a use for that somewhere, so we'll keep that in the pack. And this time I'm keeping that foil border on and taking that to 6 3/4. That should fit quite nicely onto there, and it does. So that's the basis for our card. So let's just assemble that, and you can see even just that little bit is going to produce a beautiful card. And if you're wondering why the A4 gold doesn't curl up like my 6x6, it's because currently this is stored on my trolley, which is in the living room. I really do need to put my 6x6 in there, but I do tend, when I'm making videos, to forget sometimes that I need that second piece. So that's why it's currently behind me in one of the drawers. But hopefully now the weather's getting a bit colder, when the radiator starts coming on, it should stop that problem, because it should be a more constant temperature in here. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to do the chest one, because that would be the same as that previous image. So let's bring out this one with these sort of dress shirts and the sort of getting ready to go out to some posh do. Pop that out. So that's going to go on to there, and I think I'm going to go with have a day fit for a king, because there's going to be quite a nice space down there if we go a little higher. And then I am going to be using some of this, because when I take, see, I feel that's quite dark, but if I pop this out, round, and like I say, you may feel like you want to use some adorable scoreable rather than waste, you know, some plain sort of cream or white, even when you get away with it, because you've got sort of white on these shirts and things. But I just want that hint of gold coming through underneath. And I think that's going to lighten that up quite nicely. Okay, so what I want to do is, because I want to still raise this up from this base piece, so I think the easiest way for me to do this is going to be to come in with some 2mm foam pads. Around the frame. Doesn't matter if I don't quite hit where that is, because it's all going to be tucked underneath anyway. And you might prefer to do just flat stick it to this, or flat stick it to whatever you are choosing to lighten the design if you are copying. You may even just decide to keep it as it is and just maybe have that gold inner frame there, or even just have the cardstock peeking through from the bottom. So let's just pop that round. Take all of these off. Just whip him around, and I'm not going to need the purple glue on this one, because I'm going to see where I'm putting it. Yeah, that's fine. So all I want to do is just make sure we've got the design showing in the middle. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it goes over the edge, because we are cutting around it. And what I am going to do is pop my scissors underneath and just undercut around. Hopefully I should just find where those foam pads are. And actually the further under I am, the better, because if I'm quite close to the end, then pieces of card like there, if that's on there, you will just about see it. But if I go a little further under, it's not going to be as noticeable. And it is a bit sad to cut away all of these bits, but let's just make sure that's where we want it to be. That's fine. Okay, so now I can come in and pop this onto my card. And for this I'm just going to use my normal glues, so tacky and all-purpose. You could come in with a bit of white on if you've got an envelope that's going to tolerate it. Maybe you're hand delivering, you're not going to worry about the post. And the frame is mirrored, so I don't have to worry about that quite so much. But let's bring in my... So it looks around about even on both sides. Just going to pop that ruler in. And the ruler likes it too. It does look good to my eye as well. It looks alright on the screen as well, so that's perfect. Okay, then this piece is going to come in. Again, I'm going to lift that with those 2mm. So there's going to be a bit of depth to that background as well. I mean, you could come in with a die and cut out a little piece of that if you wanted to save it, just for the sake of the video. We're not going to, but you know, you've got that option there. It's not going to be seen, and if you want to keep those little bits, I think you've got to have a space for keeping those little bits and a plan to use them up. I currently don't, so I don't have a space as such. I do end up throwing quite a few little bits away, I have to be honest, because I just don't have the storage space for them. But if it's nice cardstock like this, I do try my best to keep it as long as possible. So these glue dots, the purple glue stick does give you that ability just to slide that about until I am happy with it. I think there is good for me. And then we want some more 2mm just to raise this all up to the same level with our king for the day. Really simple cards today, it's quick and simple. You know, if you weren't a fan of this kit, maybe you were planning on just getting the kit because it's free, you know, you could whip up these cards and pop them into a charity shop or to a school or something just for them to sell. Okay, so again I'm coming in with these shiny ones, if I can get into them without spilling them everywhere. Come on now, you opened before. Oh, can't be fighting with them. There we go, nice and easy. We'll go with the slightly less shiny ones. So I'm going to do like a little spray just to fill this corner here. And one more of those and a teeny tiny one. And then I'm not doing anything up on these corners. I think there's enough detail up there with that beautiful foiling. But let's just pop. Don't want it quite so in a line. I might actually just move that one there. Okay, I'm going to go with that. It's slightly, not quite a spray, more of a cluster, but I'm liking that. So just not very good with this left hand squeezing the glue, but we will give it a go. There we go, didn't do too bad. And obviously that just needs the insert on the inside, so I would just cut that to 2 notches under the 5, 2 notches under the 7. Sometimes I do go 3 notches under. You could go 1/4 of an inch even if you wanted to. But that is, again, another quick and simple little card. So that's card number 2, card number 1. So this cardstock with the foil on it does kind of match this sort of frayed kind of paper linen-y sort of at the top colour, so it does lighten it quite nicely. So it might be worth just bearing that in mind if you were searching through your adorable scoreable packs. I think also you probably would get away with Matastic card as well in there if you were sort of struggling to find adorable scoreable. But let's just talk you through, so I can see that's lifting a little. I will pop a bit of glue, talk you through what's left. So we've got a whole piece of printed cardstock left because we didn't touch that. I'm just bringing it in, but it's fighting me. So we've got our little border there. We've got that whole piece with that suit on. So that again could be another one of these off-center gatefolds, but we're turning it round that way with the suit on that side, and have it open in that way, and then using either I think that one probably would be a little bit small. It might be worth having a look in your bigger book of sentiments, your shape sentiments, your banners, maybe even if you manage to get the free gift at birthday time, those circle ones would fit in there quite nice. But we've still got this large topper here with the games on, and again the games there, and those 2 tags. So easily another 2 cards, maybe even a little more with that topper pocket pad even. But that is it for today and for this kit. What I would say is I was going to, so I'm just going to pop that under while I think about it. I was going to come in with the quirky animals next. I know I did say that last time, but the magazine just dropped through my door this morning, and you subscribers will know that is a beautiful kit, and actually instantly I fell in love with it. And you get a die with it as well this month, the magazine. So it hasn't launched over at Hunkydory yet. I don't know if it's launching at the weekend. I didn't check the end of the live with Hunkydory on Friday when they tell you what's coming up next. It may well launch over the weekend. If not, it will be next week. But I'm going to start playing with that next time. It's a beautiful animal themed kit. It's beautiful. It's just so colourful. Just the colours I needed to lift my spirits this time of year when it starts to get a bit dark and dull. But we're going to go for that one next, and then on to quirky animals afterwards. I still love the quirky animals. They're very fun. My heart just melted when I saw that magazine one. I just knew I wanted to work on that straight away. But that's it for today. Have a great weekend, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye.